All right, so here are two pieces from our very popular Refresh and Remake series, where I take something that has been done in a video before and I give it a little bit of a facelift. Or maybe I just am refreshing it because we sold out of these very quickly. So this has always been a very popular knotted bracelet. It's so easy to do. I made these yesterday while I was talking to two girlfriends in, under an hour, even while I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. So it's something that you can throw together very quickly with minimal tools. So I've got two different colorways, and this one is what my friend Jill always calls blurple, where she has mixed blue and purple together, and I really love the combination. So this blue is a gorgeous aqua blue crystal mix in a Czech Glass, and it has a lovely bronze finish on it. And then the purple is a plum purple sapphire, and it has a travertine on the outside. And I've paired that with the antique gray leather for the button closure, and I've mixed it with the antique pewter metals. Now for the other one, I've used two of my favorite colors. This is the sea green with a Picasso finish, and then this is sort of a gold with a bronze wash on it. It is so pretty, and it just pairs so nicely with this. And for the leather on this one, I have used a brown that we have in stock. I can't remember what the name of it is, honestly, but it's just a beautiful brown. And then I've mixed it again with the antique pewter color. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to run the original video so that I didn't have to film it all over again, because it's exactly the same technique. You'll be able to buy these in kit form. They will be on the website. And for this one, you mainly just need your basic tools, really to open and close the jump rings. But I would recommend getting tweezers that we sell. They're really inexpensive, and it makes knotting just so much easier. And I'll have a link for these tweezers along with the kits in the description box below this video. So I hope you love these two new colors. I think they're really beautiful and super fun together. And so I'm going to roll the video now. So enjoy, and please make sure if you have not subscribed to my channel that you do so, and give this video a big like if you enjoyed the content. All right. I want to thank you so much for watching, and let's roll that video. Let's get started on our project. So we're going to be using some Czech Glass rondelles, and I have two colors. I'm also going to be using some S-long cording, and I'm going to be using about 2 meters or so. I have a pair of fine tweezers. Now you want to make sure that you're not using the kind that you use for your eyebrows. You want to use these really fine ones, and I will put a link below to that. We do carry them. I have a little barrel knot tube because I'll be adding a barrel knot. I'll be using a thread zapper. Now that is not sort of something that you have to have, but I will show you how to use it, and I really love using those. I'm also going to have one of these little big, sounds kind of silly to say a little big eye needle, but this has a collapsible eye in it, and it's going to make it a whole lot easier to get the thread through the beads. And I have my little embellishments. I have a ring, I have a button, and a charm. I have about 10 inches of 2mm leather cording, a jump ring, and some GS hypo. And as far as tools today, we're just going to be using a pair of scissors, and at the very end we're going to be using our chain nose pliers and our bent chain nose pliers. So let's get started. I'm just going to kind of clean this up, and we'll show you how to get this made. All right, so the first thing I've done is I cut myself about 2 meters of my S-long cording, and I'm going to find the center. So I just take the ends and find those, and then that will get me my center. Now I'm going to go down through my ring, and then I'm going to run this all these tails. I'll make a little bit bigger loop there, and I'm just going to run these tails through that loop. I'm trying to do it so that it's easy to see, and of course it's making it look more complicated, but all I'm doing is just popping that through there and pulling that through, because what I'm creating is a lark's head knot. So I just want to have some way of securing that to that little ring. So I'm just pulling nice and tight. Now I'm going to make a knot. So the way that I make my knots is I take my piece and I place them in front of my hand, and then I wrap around and I sort of cross over. I have found by crossing over it helps prevent some of the slippage and losing my knot. So it just, I don't know why, if I do it like this, it just never seems to work for me. So my technique, it has been to take it and cross it over. Now I'm going to just sort of pull that up, reach through there, and then grab that whole tail and pull it through. So now you can see I've created a knot on my finger. Now I'm going to take the pointy end of my tweezers, I'm going to put it through that hole, and then right where I want the knot to go, I clamp down. So I've come through the hole of the knot, and I want my knot to end up right there. So now I let that drop, and you can actually see that there's the knot. So I always want to have it fall to the right. I'm going to pull up. By pulling up, it stops it from popping off the end there. And now you can see that I've created a nice little knot there. When it's nice and tight, I pull it out, and then I take my tweezers and I run it down and pull it nice and snug. And now you can see I've created a nice little double knot. Now this is going to be double because I've got the double cord there. Super simple to do. Okay, so now I've got to start stringing on some beads. Now sometimes you get lucky with some beads, they've got bigger holes and you can get both of these ends through, but I find it really challenging. So I just started using a needle, and I found it a little bit easier. It is a bit more finicky, but it'll help you get them on there. So now I'm just going to create a pattern. So I'm going to be putting on one of these first. So I run my needle through there. And I don't worry about my needle getting all bent up because, that's just the way it goes. So if this gets bent by the end, it's not really anything other than a tool, so it doesn't have to look pretty. So now I'm going to pop that through. And I just leave my needle on there. Sometimes it'll fall off, sometimes it'll stay on, but we can just keep placing it on. So now I've got my Czech Glass bead on there. So I'm going to repeat like I did at the beginning. And it doesn't matter which way this goes. So, it doesn't matter if it turns around or anything. Okay, so I place that in front. I'm now going to take my piece and wrap it around and cross over. Then I reach through and pull those tails all the way out. Grab my tweezers, come in through that little loop there, place it right on top of that bead. I want to make sure that I've got a good grip on that bead, and now I let that drop. And you can see how it's created a knot right there. Pull up. You don't want that to fall off the end. Kind of line it up on top, pulling tight, and then I use my thumbnail to sort of push it down, and then I pull that out and run my tweezer down. All right, so now you can see I've got a knot on either side, so I'm going to repeat that. So now I've got my next color of my Czech Glass. Run that through, pull it all the way down. So now it's going to be next to that knot that I just created. So I just, in front of my fingers, I go around, pull to the back, reach through that hole, grab the tails, place my tweezers through that knot that I've created on my fingers. So I'm coming through it, and I'm placing my tweezers right where I want that knot to be. So I get a good grip on it, and then I let that drop off. You see, if you let it drop off the other way, you're going to lose your knot. So you want to have it drop off to the right, and then you pull straight up, pull it nice and tight, and then I bring my tweezers down and give it a little pull, and that just kind of secures that in there. So now we've got our second one on there. So I'll show you again. Okay, so I've got that third bead sitting on there. So I'm going to wrap around my fingers, go over it like that, open it up slightly just so I can reach through, grab the ends, pull them through. Now I'm going to take my tweezers, come through that hole, go right on top where you want it, and then pull up. So I'll do one more so that you can see the pattern that I'm creating, and then I will swap it out and show you one that I've already created. So there we go. We've got our 1, 2, and 1, and you can do any pattern you like. This will be in kit form. I have 3 different colors, and I'll show you all of the colors at the end. But you can do the pattern whichever way you like. Okay, so place that in front, go around, reach through the back, pull that through, take my tweezers, go down through the hole, line it up on top of that bead, and then pull up and create that knot. Now you can see that that one's sort of separated because this is 2 pieces, so that's actually a good thing. So now all I do is just pull up so that they end up the same. So if you have that little bit of a problem, just pull up on the one that's loose. And then I've just pulled down on that again. So there you go. That's how we're starting this. And I'm just going to swap it out to the one that I've got mostly completed, and I will show you how to finish this project up. Okay, so here's my second one, and you can see that I use these really juicy looking sort of caramel colored with a light blue turquoise, and I'm loving how that one looks. So I have my little groupings here, and again, you can make this to whatever size that you want. I will have a measurement of what this length ends up at. I mean, right now we are sitting at, let's see, I have a grand total of about just under 6 inches of beads, and by the time we get everything on, it'll be probably close to 7 inches. So you'll have to sort of play with it a little bit to come up with your sizing. Okay, so now I'm going to put my button on. So the way that I do that is I just run opposite ends through. I'm just going to trim off some of this tail because I definitely don't need all of that in there. Okay, so now I'm going to take one end and go through one side of the button, and then I'm going to take the other end and go through the opposite side. So I'm just crisscrossing my tails through there. So you can see that I've just got it sort of crisscrossed. So now I'm just going to pull it down like that, and I'm just going to tie some surgeon's knots. So I'm going to go through once and twice and pull down. And when you get towards the end, you want to kind of pull it quickly so that it ends up a nice little knot and not a big ball. So I pull that tight, and I'm going to do that again. So once and twice, and then trying to make it so that you can see that. So you get down to here, and then you kind of pull tight, and let's do a third one for good measure. You don't see this knot because it hides underneath the button, and I want to make sure that nothing's going to come apart. So now if you don't have the thread zapper, there's a few things that you can do. You can use glue on the end of this. You can be brave with a lighter, but I am so not brave when it comes to a lighter. So I'm going to show you how to use the thread zapper. So what I'm going to do is trim this off to about 1/8 of an inch. I don't want to leave too much of a tail there. See, that's probably a little bit too much, but we'll see. I'll try it and see what happens. So now if you have a thread zapper and it's suddenly not working, what it generally is that your batteries aren't fresh enough. So we often get people bringing it back saying, well, it's not working, and it's usually because the batteries are not fresh. So make sure you're always using nice fresh batteries in your thread zapper. So what you want to do is isolate one side, kind of get that out of the way because you don't want this to zap the wrong thing. So you press that little button down and you keep it pressed, and the end gets really screaming hot. This one has been well loved, so it's not showing up red on camera, but what you do then is you just start, see that? It just melts it. And what it does is it kind of creates like a little mushroomy sort of thing to make it so that it won't pop out the end. So that was a little bit long. It would probably be a good idea for me to trim this, but I think we can work with it like this. So that one doesn't want to stand up, so I'm going to try and do it against the button and see what happens here. So you can't use this on natural fibers like silk or anything. You can only use it on polyesters and that sort of stuff, but it's a really great little tool. It just kind of sort of sears the end. I know a lot of people do these projects and use lighters to do that, but I am just not brave like that. And I'm pretty good with fire, but I don't smoke, so I don't really like lighters. So you also have to make sure that you hold that button down the whole time. So now that just kind of seared it, and it's just sort of hidden underneath there. So I've got all of my little bits and pieces. So I'm going to make a little loop for my button. So I'm going to take my about 10 inches of 2mm leather, and I'm going to run that through. And I only need about this much coming out for my little clasp that I'm making. I can actually make it a little bit smaller. I want to leave more here. It makes it a little bit easier to make your knots when you have a bit more room. So I'm going to take my little barrel knot tube and place that in between, and I'm going to go around once, and I'm just going to go around twice. Hold that nice and snug. Don't let go of that. Put that through the back end, pull that out, and tighten it up. So now before I tighten it, I want to make sure that it's pulled up close to that ring. So I use my nail to kind of push it where I want it and pull that nice and tight. Okay, now I need to measure to see how big I want this. So I know that I need my buttonhole to be about that big. So I'm going to take my tube and place it in between, and then I'm going to wrap. I always want to do it on the top though, so I'm going to turn that over, and I'm going to wrap it around once, twice, 3 times, and I'm always working towards my left hand. And now we're not going to have as much there, but it should be able to pop right in. So push it through, Now I want to bring that up, but I don't want to tighten until I know that I have a big enough hole for my button. So I just sort of leave it like that, and that's perfect. So then what I do is I place my thumbnail right on the other side so that I don't end up with a size I don't want, and I'm going to really tighten that up nice and snug. So now you can see if I pull it, it makes a little thing like that. So I want to make sure that I've pulled it down and just tighten with this long one. So there we go. Okay, so now I am going to use some GS Hypo cement. This takes a lot of punishment here. If you don't put the glue in, it will come apart on you. I've had a few of them come apart on me. So make sure you put a little bit of glue in that part of the knot there, and then right in this little part of the knot here. And that will really help. And then on this side, you want to run a little bit of glue right in that part there. Now this dries clear, so you don't really even see it. And then we're going to come in and we're just going to trim these ends off. Now, have you guys noticed my mistake? There's no way that I can fix this, but I just noticed what I did right now. Well, we're going to have a mixed metals one. I have silver up here and I have antique brass right here. And if I wanted to fix this, I would have to actually redo that whole piece. And I just noticed it now. But you know what? I am going to go with it because yes, I do make mistakes, as you guys have noticed. Every once in a while that happens and I think, what was I thinking? Or I wasn't. I guess that's when I'm filming these, like I'm doing 5 of these in a row this morning. But this is number 4. By the time I get to number 4, I start getting a little punchy. So excuse my error. It will be fixed for the pictures. So now I'm going to take my jump ring and I'm going to open it up and I'm going to attach it through, and I'm going to put it in the wrong color and do that up. All right, so there you go. There's our completed project, including the one with the mixed metal mistake. I will replace that at home tonight. I will sit and make one because I actually really love knotting. I find it very therapeutic and it's quite rhythmic and I love doing it. So I hope that you give this a try. This is sort of a little bit of a different version from the one that I had a long time ago that was a Facebook Live, but it's hard to follow on Facebook Lives. So this one has a new ending and I hope you give it a try because you'll find that it's a really fun one to create. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, well, why haven't you? And make sure to get down there and do that right away and press that bell so that you know when my new ones come live. And leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from everybody. And give this one a try and let me know how it goes. I hope you enjoy making yours. Thanks so much for watching and we'll see you on the next one.